Just the difference between owning 10 homes, 10 single-family homes, you have 10 roofs versus one big apartment building. 10 roofs to replace with one layer could easily be $4,000 to $6,000 a piece. That could be $40,000 to $60,000 to re-roof 10 single-family homes. But if you had one apartment building and you had to re-roof it, I can tell you, I know what it costs, $15,000. Would you rather pay $15,000 to re-roof one building that has 10 units in it, or would you rather re-roof 10 roofs? Anybody like to re-roof 10 roofs? Again, this is why multifamily is so much more exciting to me, because of a situation exactly like this. How many different contractors do you have to have in place to do 10 roofs? Because 2 are out in Strasburg, Virginia, 1 is in Winchester, Virginia, 2 are in Frederick, Maryland, 3 are in Baltimore, Maryland, and now you've got 10 roofs with houses spread all over the area, so you're going to have all these different contractors. Who's going to manage all them to make sure that the roofs will put on correctly? What if you had to stand down at the bottom of the street by the car and just sit there and watch one contractor put a roof on an apartment building? So when I tell you that multi-unit is easier than single family, I'm serious. It is. It's easier to get funding. It's easier to get financing. It's easier to take care of expenses. And it's easier to collect income. Why? It's all right there in one place. Very, very, very simple. Is it more work? Yes. This is a rule of thumb for analyzing. Multi-unit. When you're doing analyzing, and we have an analyzer, and I'm going to share that with you. It's brand new. It's getting ready to literally get shipped out to us. It's something that I had the opportunity to have a say in the way it was going to be created based on things that I needed in it, and because I had difficulty with other types of analyzers doing what I needed them to do. So this is an actual analyzer. Like I said, you put all your information into it, and it actually will print out a full color property package with all your charts. If you invest in a property through your self-directed IRA, it does a complete breakdown and analysis of the self-directed IRA investment and what the returns are going to be to equity investors. It's really, really cool. I'll show you a little bit of it. But when you're analyzing a property, how do you analyze it? You have rules of thumb, and you have actual figures, and then you have pro forma. Pro forma in this industry, and you need to know the language, means projected. They're projecting out what they think it will make. So if I have 10 units, 10-unit apartment building, and I have actual figures, I will have a rent roll and income and expenses that show me the actual figures, and I want 2 years of that. Or 3 if you can. Usually 2 will work. That way you can see what kind of income the property is bringing in for 2 years in a row. And I want actual expenses. Some brokers and sellers will give you that, some won't, because some don't have it because they don't do very good accounting. There are ways that I go over how it can be created. So when you're doing an initial analysis of a property, so you're not spending too much time on it, we have something called a rule of thumb. These are the rule of thumb numbers for expenses. And then we also have something called a sniff test. You're just going to kind of sniff out and see, do you want this? Do you want to work on this deal? If you do, the numbers look good initially, then we'll dive into what I call deeper analysis. Does that make sense? Because they don't want to waste too much time doing analysis. Plus, you're going to have to gather information in order to do your due diligence. And the people that you're probably going to be gathering most of this information from, it happens to be brokers and sellers. And it takes time to do due diligence. You have physical due diligence, and you have financial due diligence. Financial due diligence is very simple. You're analyzing and doing due diligence on the financial wherewithal of the property. Physical due diligence is when we actually go do site visits and we visit the property and we're looking at the property physically to see what kind of repairs, what kind of deferred maintenance it has, are there underground storage tanks, where is it located in relationship to the nearest major city or the employers. So physical or economic vacancy. Physical vacancy means that the unit is physically vacant, empty, nobody living there, or so you're being told. Economic vacancy are things that affect the economy. So people who are late on their rent, people who are being evicted in the next 6 weeks and they haven't paid you rent and they're not going to pay you rent. That's called an economic vacancy. I have yet to see it, and probably never will, a property that has 100% occupancy with no type of vacancy. There's got to be some type of vacancy in a property, because not 100% of your residents are going to pay rent on time every single month, or life is perfect and will never have issues, hurdles, or challenges that happen in it. The simplest thing, a child support check does not show up in the mail. That child support check is part of your rent. It's the 5th of the month. What do? Is it their fault? No. Do those things happen? Yes. How do I know? Because I just got told that a child support check didn't show up. So they can't pay their rent until the 22nd of December when they get their next paycheck, unless it comes in sooner. All right? Apartment buildings usually run 45 to 50% average expenses to income. So you normally have about 45 to 50% of the income that you make is going to be in expenses. So if you're analyzing a property and you see that and it's an apartment building, and you see right off the bat, without even knowing why, the expenses are 75%. Are you going to pass, or are you going to dig deeper? I'm going to dig deeper, because those expenses can be reduced, probably, and if they can be reduced, they're what we call value add, something that adds value to the property. When we bought I told you about the water sub-meter. When I bought the property, the mobile home community down in Martinsville, Virginia, I had a $60,000 a year water bill. Everybody else ran from it. I took it on head on, because I knew I had 6 main master meters that were tied into the public water. So therefore, I already had public water on site. All I had to do was go in and put sub-meters in all of the property, and the city said you'll never be able to do it. The county said you'll never be able to do it, because we have a very strict requirement that you have to have 100% compliance from all your residents. We have security deposits. Do utility companies charge deposits? Mm-hmm. Right? Application fees? Well, when you've got 84 units and they tell you that they have a $185 security deposit and a $50 application fee, times, I'm going to take out a calculator, 185 times 84 plus 84 times, what did I say, $25 application fee? 50 application fee. How much money is that? So 100, add all that up for me, and times it by 67. 84. Anybody have a calculator? What are the numbers again? 100, what did I say? 185 plus 50 is how much? 230, 235 times 84. $19,000 had to be brought into the Public Service Authority for deposits. If someone is really tight on a budget and you tell them, oh, by the way, we're the new management company, we're going to sub-meter the property, and now next month you owe another $185, do you think that might be really tight for some people?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they're going to push back on you?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that maybe they would move out? Yes. So what we did is the city said, you probably won't be able to do it. And I said, watch, because you don't know who you're dealing with. So in 3 months, we had the whole entire property sub-metered. How? I put up $19,000 into escrow at the water service company for all my residents, so I had 100% participation. I then gave them 6 months to pay it back to me at interest. So I actually made money. Not a lot, but did I help them?
Yes.
Ultimately, to help who?
You.
Me. Because guess what my water bill is today? Zero. Zero. By reducing a $60,000 a year water bill, it cost me $50,000 once to sub-meter. It took 3 months to do it. So for $50,000, I eliminated a $60,000 a year recurring water bill. By reducing the expensive $60,000 a year, I added $500,000 a year. I added $500,000 in value to the property. 6 months after I owned it. 6 months. You cannot do this on a single family, anywhere. I was asking $1 million for it. Couldn't sell it because of all this stuff. And then I figured out what the big value add is, but I kept my mouth shut because if I opened up my mouth, the seller might decide not to sell it. You need to keep your value adds to yourself. Went to closing. I raised the $50,000 through private investors, along with the down payment and everything else. We get to settlement. I wait 3 months before I implement the sub-metering because we're under new management and I didn't want to scare anyone. We got all the drawings, all the permits, all the meters brought in, and within 3 months, we had zero water bill. I ended up buying the property for $775,000, and within 6 months, it was worth 1.2. By something called a small digital dial read pad called a water meter. That is what a mobile home community or a multi-unit community or an apartment building or self-storage facility can do for you. That's 6 months. So we pick another project to add value. We raise the rent next year. I didn't raise rent that first year because they now were responsible for paying their water bill, which was $52 minimum a month. So I was not going to make them raise the rent. In addition to that, everybody got a free 10-pound turkey for Thanksgiving as my way of saying thank you for putting up with me during the sub-metering of the water. I did everything I could to ease them into it. I then had a huge barbecue picnic for the residents the following summer and started letting them know that management was there to really care about them and their needs. November 1st of this year, we did our second rent increase of $25 per unit times 84. That added another, I forget exactly how much it is, 84 units times 25 times 12. If anybody figures that out, 84 times 25 times 12. $25,000. $25,000 raise that I just got November 1st off of $25. But when you times that by 10, by 12, by 20, by 30, by 80, by 100, the raises get bigger and bigger. with the economy the way that it is, I know there's been a lot of cutbacks, a lot of people are being rifted, a lot of people aren't even getting raises. I can take $25 or simply $10 and give my own self a raise. Are you going to move if you rent? Has anybody here ever rented? All right, if I were to raise your rent up $10 or $20, are you going to pick up and move on me?
No.
No, it's called a nuisance fee. Right? Well, that nuisance fee is a raise to us. All right, so but you can't be the miser or the Scrooge that only takes money and doesn't do anything to improve the property. So memos go out that says in the next couple months you'll be seeing all new gravel coming in, you'll see new windows going in. You know, we want them to know that they can see that there's an improvement, because the minute that you become a landlord, I don't know why, but they think these are filled with money. Okay, and I can tell you that the first several years, every dollar, for the most part, that you're making is actually should be going right back into that property. Okay, you might be able to take a little bit of profit, or you should. But whatever it is, the minute that you become a landlord, and if you dress all decked out and you drive a big fancy car and that's how you roll in, well, perception is reality. So you've got to choose. The risk versus the reward. Remember I said that this business is nothing but a risk? What time is it?
105.
Oh, it's lunchtime. All right, let me go through this real quick. Remember I said everything in real estate is a risk, right? If you were to buy a brand new house and you pay more for it, but it probably would need very little, if any, repairs or maintenance for the next, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 years, right? But you're going to pay more for it. Well, real estate in multi-unit is exactly the same way. It's called a cap rate. The higher the cap rate, capitalization rate, the higher the risk. But you're going to get a greater return, a much higher return. The safer the investment, the lower the investment, the lower the rate of return. A lot of what are called Class A properties, which are brand new apartment complexes, luxury apartments, luxury communities, and golf courses, and big, huge swimming pools, and great, great neighborhoods right in close to the city. Those are A properties. You're going to pay more for them, but the return to the investor is probably going to be 4 to 5%. Well, I can tell you a lot of those same investors today that were investing in those types of properties want more of a return, because they need their money to work smarter and harder for them. So they're willing to take a little bit more of a risk. What we invest in are the C properties that are in B neighborhoods, or a B neighborhood, a B property in a B neighborhood. A D property is a war zone. Do I have anything against war zones? No, if I see that it's going to emerge or trend out, then I very well might consider an area that I know that I could transform. Or it might be such a distressed asset, but it's in a really, really great neighborhood because the seller deferred the maintenance and just didn't take care of it. If that's the case, and my investors are going to get an 18 to 20% return, and we're going to have to put more money into it, I can tell you that it's the risk versus the reward. The more risk you're willing to put up and put out, the greater your reward's going to be. My specialty, the love of my life, is repositioning distressed assets. I love taking the rundown, distressed assets, repositioning them, stabilizing them, turning them around in the low-income, affordable housing areas Because over the last 7 years, in every city I've been to, one of the questions I always ask the banks, the Chamber of Commerce, the economic development teams, is what type of housing do you see there being a need for here? And what do you think they tell me? Every single city I go to, no matter where it is, affordable housing. It's a national crisis. So knowing that, anywhere I go, affordable housing is needed. Do people deserve to be treated differently because they make less money, or do they deserve to be treated differently to have to live in squalor or substandard conditions? I have met more crooks that have very, very high credit scores, that make a lot of money and carry a lot of money in their pocket, and they move in, and 3 or 4 months later they move right back out. But I can tell you, those that you make a difference in their life, you jump on their repairs, you take care of their maintenance issues, you care about them as a human being, and our goal is to provide clean, safe, affordable housing. That's it. Clean, safe, affordable housing that is nice. If I won't live in it, neither will they. I will pick up trash just like I ask everybody else to do. And I mean dumpsters full of trash that is nasty, skanky, stinky, that I gotta put gloves on out of the back of my trunk and bend over and pick it up. Because how can I ask my manager, when we're walking through the property and she steps over trash and keeps on walking, how can I ask her to bend down and pick it up if she doesn't see me doing it? I have to role model the behavior, just like a parent. Any parents in the room? Right? You have to role model the behavior. These properties are your children. They're your babies. They're your assets. You got to train them and guide them and teach them. So when we get back from lunch, we're going to start diving into the meat. Irv, our good old friend Irv. Income, value, expenses, repairs, maintenance, analyzing. You guys think you can handle all that?
Yeah.
Awesome. I will share with you that up here I do have my commercial real estate riches course. I will share with you that I do and have a several different types of coaching program. I am a local coach, and I believe in hands-on type of coaching. And just like you're saying, well, how do we do this and how do we do that? I did not have a coach that held my hand. I had to email questions in or phone questions in, and it was very, very frustrating. I am a very, very hands-on coach. I have some of my students here. We have a brand new program that is getting ready to get started, and I keep it very, very small. I will go over it with you. If you are interested in learning how to do this, it will be really up to you to take me on that journey of how far you want to go. I have the knowledge, I have the information, I have the tools, I have the resources. I'll share with you everything that I have. Do I not, Janae?
Yes.
Janae? I do. Everything. She's here today, okay? Not because I asked her to. She came here to sit because I guarantee you we need to go over some really serious stuff with the property that she's working on. So without any further ado, guys, let's break for lunch. It's 1:15. Be back at 2.